thank you for coming back to listen to the rest of what Alexa has to say. Our conversation was so great. I decided to break it up into two parts. So continue listening and continue to get fed with the gems of knowledge that she's going to be dropping.
And so I had created this amazing friendship and relationship with this person I met through Women Leading Broward. And, she was thinking about expanding the organization a little bit more. Her and I had worked together just because she had asked me to be her co-chair in the Women Leading Broward program, which I'm now chairing. And so it was awesome because I had already met her, and she's like, just super inspiring. They're doing such amazing work in Neighbors for Neighbors. It was a little bit different, that what my spiel, financial literacy, that was something that was in my vein, in my blood, but now I am able to also be part of more in Miami as well. Neighbors for Neighbors is connecting those in need with those who can help, which is, I think, an amazing opportunity to be able to help so many people that really don't have the help. Somebody was telling me the other day, you're saving lives now. And that's the exciting part. So the flow, I think, and that transition happened very naturally. And I realized then how important it was to make sure that you build solid relationships, to make sure that, if you are out there, if you're able to network, if you're putting yourself out there, you never know when something will come knocking at your door. And it's your choice and your decision if you say yes. If you want to say fantastic. Yes. But it comes when you're not pushing things. And I feel like when she asked me, it was such an awesome opportunity. There's so much potential. She became, she had been working there for many years, the CEO, and became CEO almost 2 years ago. And so she just thought that it was, the universe aligning per se. She was able to then hire somebody. And when we're talking about people looking for jobs, if somebody is watching this and, they're thinking, oh my gosh, nobody has gotten back to me, sending out, putting resumes out there is tough. Like, you don't really get so many responses. Knowing people is really the key piece to getting a job. And it doesn't have to be the person, who's going to hire you, but somebody at that company who could possibly put in a word for you. So making sure that you're developing those relationships, that's one of the main reasons I think they're key, because when you least expect it, something might surprise you. And so, development means absolutely everything. With your question about volunteers, we do. So Neighbors for Neighbors used to have a platform. It used to be called Helping Feels Good. And they used to have, putting volunteers together with different organizations, because what's different about Neighbors for Neighbors is that, we work with organizations, we work with people. We want to make sure that we're having those partnerships, because we don't keep money in the organization, we're giving it away. So as soon as we get things, if we're having an event, or if we're, we have, there's an event in December that's called Adopt the Family. And basically last year they had 580 families that were adopted. These are selected by caseworkers and, as families who would love to be adopted. And so then there's people who go ahead and they have a list of things that this family wants. And so it's really that boots on the ground. If there's a tragedy, when the towers fell last year, when everything happened in Surfside, they were in there. And so when they used to have the platform that we all know how, Volunteer Florida has a platform, like all of these different venues have platforms, which we used when we were trying to look for volunteers, of course, it's difficult to manage. And especially if you're having events like these or a tragedy, or, so many things that you need so much help or support and putting it out there. And so they decided to join forces with United Way Miami. And so United Way Miami has a platform in place. And so the Helping Feel Good
they do.
platform, and, went and got put in a box. And so then right now everything's done, through United Way in Miami. And it's the same type of, we just tell them exactly, if we're going to have a food drive, if we're going to have a distribution, or if there's anything, an event where we're going to need volunteers, we can put it there. But it's also, we had like T-Mobile volunteers. We served about 500 families with hot meals and toys for their kids. But after, everything's happened, because people forget that the after is when people maybe even need it the most. And I think that's the cool part of this organization, is that they are there when there's no more government aid. They are, we are there. And because
Still new.
Will be 1 month. So I just like literally started. So I'm super new, but it's cool because I will be working with volunteers. And when we had like these amazing T-Mobile volunteers, I was like, yay, like I can have it all, and I can hopefully help, do a lot of good things here. I think that I'm excited to be able to get into Miami, which was an area that I really wasn't into before. I lived in Miami, so I missed it so much. And since when we were at JA, my area was Broward. So it's like opened up, different windows and avenues. I'm excited to be able to meet people. I'm able to, go to these networking events and get to really meet really awesome people, like people with small businesses in the chambers of commerce, people, and I think that's another thing. Like, if you want, obviously the relationship is key, but you have to put yourself out there. If you want to find a job, if you want to find an internship, you have to do the effort. You have to make the effort of just putting yourself out there, because again, you don't know who's going to be watching, who's going to be needing. And there's nothing better than that person who says, oh, you know what? I know somebody who would be great.
Yes. I've gotten several interviews like that, and didn't, like you said, wasn't looking for it. And they were just like, oh, we knew somebody who knew somebody, and you should apply and interview. Yeah. So I 100% agree with you on that. So here is, I love what you said. I can have it all. Yes, you can. Sí se puede. Okay. So dígame, you are a beautiful Latina woman navigating this world that we are in. What is it like to be a leader of volunteers as a Latina?
That's it's interesting, because I think there's a bit of an advantage, obviously, with the language. If you're able to speak somebody's, main language, I think it takes you to a different level.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's just with something that they feel so comfortable. What I do love about having my Latin roots. So my mom was American and my dad Ecuadorian. So I literally was a mutt, and I grew up in Ecuador. And then I came to the States when I turned 19. So I look back at all of, everything that I learned. I had the opportunity. My mom owned the travel agency, so we were able to travel to visit my grandmother in New Jersey. So I was able to have that kind of perspective. And my mom obviously teaching us English when we were young. And the Spanish, we had it everywhere. And she put us in an American school down there. And so I think that people who don't travel are missing out so much, because when you know more of the world, when you're interested in getting to know other cultures, when you understand that we are all so different, yet we really want similar things, like be happy, hopefully find a significant other if that's something that's of interest to you, feel stable. If we're talking about the things that I think we would all really seek for, happiness and love, right?
And that's the end of the day. Happiness, and I think the only thing I would add to that would be health, right? Happiness, health, and love.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter. Yes.
you know, in a world where we're constantly comparing ourselves because we have social media and everybody's life is so much better than yours, and this person has this brand and this person has, there's so much out there, there's so much noise that I think we do forget, you know, to connect. And I think that that is, if it's something from the Latin perspective, I see, which is what I was saying about hugging and, you know, looking in the eye, like, you know, I'm just, you know, who I am is who I am. I will treat everybody exactly the same. I will give, you know, my hugs to, you know, the person who comes here and helps me with the house sometimes, you know, she's the best. And, you know, and the CEO of wherever, you know, I will treat everybody the same way. And I
Hugs for everyone.
that's all we need in life. 3 hugs a day takes the stress away.
3 hugs a day takes the stress away. Yes, ma'am. I love it.
I think that, you know, having that in me, I think that sometimes, you know, here you, because we give a kiss every time we say hi, and those types of things are not just that, but what we were saying about everybody being different. It makes you understand that, you know, sometimes you shouldn't take things personal. It's just the way maybe a person is. It's just maybe the way their culture is. It's just, there's so many reasons why things happen that I think that when you're able to have that different vision, it really, really helps understanding where people are coming from. And when you understand where people are coming from, I think it just changes the whole dynamic
Everything.
of the staff. And at the end of the day, like, I really resonate. I mean, not that I need recognition all the time, but I mean, it's nice to know that you're doing something right. And, you know, it just fuels me. And so I do it constantly with those around me. And it just comes natural. It's not for any other reason, but because I really hope that I'm making somebody smile.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So has anybody had a wrong perception of you because you are Latina, and then you were kind of like, yeah, that's not me? Or like, has that ever happened to you?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, I've had people that say, you know, when I met you, I thought you were full of crap. You know, I didn't really realize that maybe you wanted something and you were being like this nice because you were trying, or you know, I've totally gotten that. Or maybe like if I go and hug and kiss, you know, at the beginning, somebody will be like, oh, but then they realize that I'm doing it also with all the other people, you know, and one of the quotes that I live by is, you know, by the most incredible Dr. Seuss. And it's, those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. And so I really started living by those words, because I feel that if somebody thinks that I'm a certain kind of way, like if they get to know me better, have the interest, they'll realize that this is who I am. But, you know, and if they don't want to, it's okay, you know. And so I think at the end of the day, you know, we take things personal, and maybe you want to be liked by everybody, maybe you want all these likes or all these or, you know, I have to work more, and even my social media, because sometimes you have to take a step back, and you know, it can be a little intense, and you know, with the jobs, with the, you know, friends, with what houses you have, with what, I mean, it's just everything. And so yeah, I mean, it goes right back to making sure that I'm secure in who I am. But of course, it's like remembering too that we all have like peaks and valleys. And that, you know, as you see me, like, you know, obviously I try to be super positive, and this is just the type of energy that I have and give. And I don't even drink coffee, which is funny because, like, you know, with my team, they would say, oh my gosh, Alexa drank coffee, and I would go around in circles in my chair, you know, because my brain just has so much in it that I'm always thinking about and strategizing, and that, like, it can be, and so sometimes, like, you know, recharging to be able to again give, I think, is important too.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so the last question: has there ever been feedback that you received that kind of like hurt you, but you're so glad that you got it because it was something that helped you to grow?
So I was thinking about the feedback piece. I think that, you know, I think about it, and I one of the things that it remind me of, especially if more people are watching who work with volunteers, was I had created some systems in place that were very extreme in the sense that they weren't very technological. They just were, it worked because I knew reds didn't come and greens came, and it was a spreadsheet that was very manageable. And when I would have people come and start working with me so that they could help me, at the beginning, I would really, people sometimes come in and really want to help, right? Make things better, possibly. And so this one time where I had somebody who just really was meaning the best, and it's just the massive numbers of people that you're dealing with. And they said, I can, trust me, I can do this better. And so I always in my mind was like, try it for a year. And then if it doesn't work, then you can add things and change things. And I said, okay. And then I saw that this person wasn't leaving the office until like 7 o'clock at night. Like I was leaving and they were still there. And they started like putting all these pivot tables or whatever.
Pivot table.
A bunch of like things on Excel.
Yeah.
And for me, like if I leave, I want to make sure that people really know how to do things. Like if you see something that's something you can manage, it's easy for you to be able to say, okay, well, somebody can jump in and just, continue filling out the same in the same process. And so after they realized that this was so much work, so much more work, they quit. And it took me about 3 months to get myself back to where I needed to be. And so if we're talking feedback wise, I think it's reminding myself that if there's something in your gut that is telling you not to do something, I think just don't. And, even as much as people will want to do so much to be able to help, there should be a point where you trust yourself and say, I know that this needs to be this way, because I wish I would have trusted my gut. And then after that, of course, I just decided, okay, nobody else, just try this. I know that you think that there's many different ways, and yes, after a year, I would hear amazing, things to be able to improve on. But sometimes when we do things in a way that we really need to trust our judgment, and that to trust that is the best way to do it. Sometimes all this technology, it doesn't mean that things are better.
There you have it. VP of Neighbors to Neighbors, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh. Alexa, this has been so amazing. Okay, so one thing that I wanted to say, because Alexa she mentioned earlier that we went through a lot of things at the same time, which is crazy, professionally and personally. So it's funny because she was in Miami, I was in Miami. We both were a part of this wonderful group of people who were grant recipients of from the Florida Volunteer Florida. What was it
called? The conference. It was
the generation. Yeah, the Generation Fund grant, and we had to go through a training conference. And so we both. How many years did you receive the grant?
I think for the three that you get them.
Yeah, so we did too. And I think, I don't know if we got it at the same time or if I was 1 year after you, but it was like our annual thing. We're like, okay, I'm gonna see you next year. See you next year. And Alexa was the one, and you all have, if you follow me on social media, occasionally I will post how it's really great to have a network of people who know what you're going through. And the time when I went to Orlando and we went to the movies and we were watching this movie, and the ending, I mean, it was sad, but it was nowhere near as bad as I was crying. I just like broke down because the person who I was dating right around that time had recently passed, and something in the movie triggered me, and you all just surrounded me with love and didn't make me feel like this. And the thing is, we had like just met. y'all didn't know me from Adam. We were like, okay, let's all go to the movies. Okay. And then here I am blubbering and just like, you know, and I know people were like, it just wasn't that sad, but it triggered, and you all just, you know, rallied around me. You were like, cry it out. It is okay. And you gave me 1,000 hugs. And like, and then, like you said, we were just like walking in the grocery store, and it's like, I know you. And then now we find out we're neighbors. We live right down the street from each other. So it's been just a phenomenal, wonderful journey. And meeting, you know, when you meet phenomenal people, you keep them here and you cheer them on. And just seeing all of the success that you are having, just, it warms my heart. And it's because I'm always one step behind you, right? And so I just got that to that director, so like, maybe I'm gonna be a VP now, I don't know, because I'm literally always one step, and you've just always been so encouraging and loving. And you know, I just cannot thank you enough for the human being that you are. Watching your son grow up. And so, you know, I say all of that to say that the power of your network is so important, and don't discount it. And I'm very much an introvert, right? I'm that type of person who, I'm not trying to speak up or talk or whatever. So I get it. If you are that person who, if you're in a room full of people, you're not trying to work the room, I get it. But find a mentor. That's what I did. I saw somebody who worked the room, and I was like, I want to learn how to do that. I have no idea. And quite frankly, it makes me nervous. That person mentored me through how to do it. So now I'm able to do it, but I also know when I've had enough, right? I know I can only do but so many and talk to so many people, and then it's too much. But even in building those relationships, you can still do it. And LinkedIn has been amazing. And COVID was like phenomenal for me building my network, because now I could just like connect with people on LinkedIn and have conversations. And I'm not feeling all claustrophobic in a room full of people. So there's so many different ways to do it. I actually wrote a blog post about it. So when I post this, I'll put the link to it. But however you network, think about doing it. And just start with the people who are around you and the people who are closest with you, and have them introduce you to people. So it's more of a softer thing, and you're not walking into a room full of people and it's like complete strangers. And Alexa doesn't have that problem because she knows no stranger. Everybody she meets is a friend. So, but so here you have two very different personalities, two very different understandings, but we agree that it's still so important.
I remember that day, and I just, you know, I remember I met a volunteer coordinator once, and she came and she toured the facility, and when I was at JA, and we started talking and we hit it off, and it was like, wow, like it just feels like we're friends. And you know, she said something which always stays in my mind, and she was like, you know, volunteer coordinators, we can be kind of special people. And it made me realize, as we kept on meeting more and more and more of our, you know, because the two of us would go through, you know, the conference, and we would meet more, you know, the people who have received the grant, and
Yes.
more organizations across Florida. And you would really find that connection, because to do what we have to do when you are dealing with the numbers of volunteers, to be able to keep them, you know, happy, to be able to, you know, if we're talking now about all this employee well-being, you know, this whole work-life, you know, balance per se, which they don't say is a balance, you know, you should prioritize.
Yeah.
You know, you're thinking of all these things, you're realizing that at the end of the day, you know, how you treat people is everything. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. You know, I constantly battle these things, you know, with my husband. I'm just like, you know, he comes home and I'm like, I want chocolate. He goes, I want chocolate. And I'm like, and he's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, I'm just super excited, you know, that you're like, sometimes even your tone of voice like can make somebody just feel like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that, when it was actually the complete opposite. And being
Yeah.
able to be so much more communicative. And I think because we have to be so communicative and open and really, in the sense of accepting people with how they come, however it is they want to come and help. So you want to make sure you're putting them in a position where they're able to help. And so I think when you have that skill set, it really helps you connect with those who do the same thing, because we understand. And I think it felt like we were friends. It felt like we had known each other for much longer than we had. And and I think, if it was, if I was the one that felt that way, you would have acted exactly the same way.
Absolutely.
That's the people you need to surround yourself with. It's like, people who are draining your energy, just take a step back. I know sometimes it can be so hard, but surround yourself by people who are positive. Our mind, everybody has those voices in our brain that tell us, yes, you look good, no, you don't look good, like back and forth. And the physical, yes, you said this right, no, you didn't say right. Like, we all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Just keep on living life, doing well. And honestly, what goes around comes around. I mean, if you mean well, if you do well, if you treat others with respect, you're not going to be perfect. Okay.
Right.
But as long as you do your best, you're already 10 steps ahead of the game.
Yes.
I think that's the part that, like, when we met, we knew it was going to be a friendship. We knew we were both very career driven. We were super interested. And I think with you, I had never really found that many people that were so inspired by the area of volunteering, because I think you also had such a huge number with the mix of interns and everything that you managed. And, I think that it's super cool when we're talking about finding your network. Look for people who do what you want to do, because you might be surprised to hear maybe something you really don't like about it, because you don't really know until you speak to different people, because obviously one person is not enough. Right. But, do your research. We do our research when we're finding something on Amazon, right? You're looking at reviews.
Right.
So can we just do the same about making sure that the choices that you make are what are going to bring you, joy? And if not, obviously there's going to be ups and downs, like we talk about it, but making sure that we understand that we're all going through that, and at some point in time. And for me, it makes me feel better that I know that everybody is going through it at some point in time. So just keep going, but surround yourself and don't be afraid to ask. And I think that's huge too, because I don't think many people had asked this person, could you be my mentor? Like, we think that, and I always say, oh my gosh, maybe I don't want to bother you, you're super busy. But I don't think those asks come a lot, because I think people create ideas of what things are, but it's not real.
Yep. All the time. All the time. Name 3, if you can. You don't have to. At least one, but if you can, 3 books on leadership, or 3 books that helped you to become a better leader.
Oof, I have them right here.
You knew you would.
Okay, this one, super good book. It's called Lead the Field. It's by Earl Nightingale. So crazy. The person who recommended this book is the CEO of Hair Cuttery. I had the amazing opportunity to meet with him, and he presented to students in one of our virtual conferences when I was at JA. And he talked about this book like it was everything that really made him who he is and who he became. And so this book was written, I think, 1950, I believe. And so, but everything in it speaks to any type of major decision, either personal or professional. It talks about, what type of person you need to be, what's important, what are you looking for. Don't do, just it's very an easy read, and it's actually quite inspiring. So that's definitely one. Another one that I love is the Untethered Soul, which it's an incredible book. I mean, it's by Michael Singer, and he basically digs into, that our minds, those inner voices, and how to shush them, because those voices are not you. You are you. You are the one who is listening to those voices, just like you're watching TV, just like you're listening to the radio, just like those are not you. And so it talks about, and it really helps you in understanding how to make sure that you don't let those voices really, create anxiety. And, we know what comes with that. It makes you always be, with the comparisons and all of that. So it's right. And it really, it's just about understanding your human behavior. Yeah. And then, I think, the other one that I needed in my life was The Power of No. And it's understanding how, you need to make decisions, and don't think that whatever comes because of the decision you made is going to be immediate. Maybe some things will, but if you start reaping, and actually planting those seeds and doing what it is that you need to do to get yourself to the next level, even if it seems something mundane or something small, it's a big step, and you're already ahead of the game. And so those are 3 books that I think are
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Alexa's book recommendation, her book club. Yeah, no, that's awesome. That is awesome. Okay, well, this has been so great.
No, we could talk for hours. Is this
hours?
Recorded?
It's only been 15 minutes. I'm just kidding. This has just been so great. Alexa, thank you so much. How can people reach out to you if they want to grab more nuggets of wisdom from you?
So I have my Neighbors for Neighbors email address, and it's Alexa@neighbors, the number 4 neighbors.org. On LinkedIn as Alexa Diaz Formidoni. I keep my that was my mom's last name, and she passed, so it makes me feel closer to her when I say it. And so definitely on LinkedIn, and definitely reach out via email. I would be super excited to talk, to anybody who has any questions. And sister, I'm here for you. Whatever you need on my end, I think you're amazing. You're just working it. All your dreams are coming true. I mean, from the beginning, this girl, she was a cheerleader for the Dolphins, right?
No, girl, no. It's so funny because so many people say that. Wait, one day they're gonna call me up and be like, "What is I promise, I never said Dolphins."
You have been working your butt off ever since you became a mom when you were young. And probably your whole life. I mean, probably even before. So, I mean, I know you are this incredibly driven, career-minded, super focused, incredibly energetic, soulful, loving. I admire everything that you keep achieving. I think it's amazing that you're doing these podcasts, connecting, highlighting people that, maybe didn't realize how important and how much and how special it is to have them in this world. And I just commend you for everything, and I will always support you.
Oh, thank you so much. I love it. Okay, and on that note, thank you for joining us for this episode of From the Suggestion Box, and I hope to continue to bring amazing people like Alexa to you for them to give their suggestions in terms of the things that they've learned, where they're going, book recommendations, all of these things, because we're just all in this together to help each other get to the next level. So thank you all so much for joining. You can reach out to Alexa. You know how to find me. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey.